Listen carefully, chosen one. You did not land on this message by coincidence. This very moment has been arranged on purpose, and what you are about to hear carries weight beyond mere emotion. It carries eternal significance. Right now, there is someone heavy on your heart, someone whose face flashed in your mind the moment you saw this title. That is not imagination. It is a divine signal. Do not dismiss this. What you choose in this season will influence the entire direction of your destiny. I need you to awaken your spirit and stay present, because this message carries heaven's breath within it. This is not simply about love or disappointment or emotional turbulence. This is about your calling, your alignment, your future. The enemy is trembling at what could happen if you do not give up, and that is precisely why this message has reached you. Before we continue, anchor your agreement with heaven. Like this message, subscribe so you never miss words prepared for God's chosen, and declare in the comments the number 99, representing the one the shepherd would leave everything to rescue. By doing this, you proclaim, I am not lost, I am found, and I will not surrender what God has entrusted to me. Stay until the end, because this will change how you see this person, and even more, how you see God's hand at work in your life. Understand this truth. God does not allow meaningless collisions. That moment your life intersected with theirs, it was not random or casual. It was a divine appointment written before time began. Maybe it was a strangely familiar conversation, an unexpected connection, or an unexplainable pull in your spirit. That moment was heaven's signature on a relationship that would one day become a battlefield. Not because it lacked value, but because it carried destiny. Some relationships fade like shadows. Others mark your soul permanently. This person is not just part of your story. They are part of your mission. Their presence is designed to shape you, challenge you, and propel you closer to what God created you for. That is why the bond feels different, weighty, and impossible to shake. It was not built by human effort, but crafted through divine instruction. And make no mistake, this is not about fantasy or romantic idealism. This is about purpose. God never ties his chosen to people without reason. Sometimes they hold keys to doors you cannot open alone. Sometimes they are a mirror, forcing you to face parts of yourself you would otherwise ignore. Sometimes they are sent to walk beside you during the storms, so the promise within you does not wither in isolation. Every moment has meaning. Each conversation, each trial, each reconciliation is a thread in a tapestry far beyond your emotions. And here's the mystery. The enemy can see that design even when you can't. He knows the danger when two souls align under heaven's command. That's why he attacks it so viciously. The harder he fights, the clearer the proof, because he does not waste energy on things that don't threaten him. He only wages war against what carries heaven's power. So engrave this in your heart. When God writes the story, the enemy fights harder. That's why this connection feels like a battle. It hurts because it matters. It's heavy because it's holy. If it were meaningless, it would have dissolved quietly. But the fact that you are still here, still tied to this person in spirit despite every storm, that itself is evidence of divine purpose. That first encounter was not just the start of a relationship. It was the spark of an assignment. And the enemy will do everything to destroy it before you see its true nature. This is why you must hold on, not blindly, but with prayer, to summon an unwavering faith that what God ordains cannot be undone by chaos. You are standing on sacred ground. This was never a mistake. It was heaven's plan. Once you grasp that, everything about the battle will make sense. Now hear this. This is not about arguments, misunderstandings, or personality clashes. What you are facing is far deeper, spiritual warfare. The word says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, and rulers of darkness. The tension, the discouragement, the sudden urge to give up, none of it comes from the person in front of you. It is the enemy planting seeds of defeat, hoping you will abandon a covenant you have barely begun to understand. He doesn't storm in with banners of destruction. He whispers. He magnifies small problems until they look like impossible mountains. He replays old wounds as if they are current truth, making you fear history will repeat. He doesn't need to destroy you at once, only to erode your faith inch by inch until you release what God joined together. And here's the danger. If you walk away now, you are not just walking away from a person. You are walking away from a divine mission. This bond is about more than companionship. It is about kingdom purpose. There are callings you were never meant to carry alone. Heaven aligned you for a reason. If you leave in this season, you also walk away from the assignment tied to this union. The enemy knows it. That is why he is relentless. Because if you remain, you will see fruit that terrifies him. Think about it. How many times have you almost walked away, only to feel a deep ache inside, as if something greater was pulling you back? That ache is your spirit recognizing this battle is not about fleeting emotions. It is about destiny. You can feel it in your bones. The fight is bigger than the two of you. The enemy is not simply attacking your relationship. He is attacking the future impact it will create if it survives. Because when two chosen ones stand united in faith, they become a weapon against darkness. They break generational cycles. They heal bloodlines. They release blessings not just for themselves, but for generations to come. This is why the enemy is desperate to tear you apart before you even realize the power you carry together. So pause and ask yourself with brutal honesty, is this voice telling me to quit really from God or from the one who fears our unity? Remember, God never speaks through fear. He never leads with hopelessness. He never guides you using despair. Even when he corrects, his voice carries peace. Even in silence, his spirit brings direction. Even in confusion, his hand brings clarity. If the voice you hear is only urging you to quit, discern its source carefully, because the enemy is a master disguise. He will mask defeat as logic, paint despair as wisdom, and wrap hopelessness in emotion. But deep inside, your spirit knows the difference. The storm surrounding you is not proof that this connection is weak. It is proof that it is powerful. If it were meaningless, the enemy would leave it alone. He does not waste his energy on what poses no threat. The fact that you are under siege is evidence that this bond carries spiritual weight. And if you give up now, you are not just surrendering a relationship, you are surrendering the assignment God entrusted to you through it. This is why you cannot afford to quit now, not when the stakes are this high. Your perseverance is not only about love, it is about obedience to the one who sent this person into your life with divine intent. If you walk away too soon, you will never know what would have been unlocked had you remained. But if you endure, one day you will look back and realize that every battle was a setup for breakthrough. Let this sink deep into your spirit. The tension you feel is not proof you should give up. It is proof that you are close to something the enemy fears. The attacks are loud because the purpose is louder. The resistance is fierce because the reward is near. So ask yourself, whose voice am I listening to? The God who designed my future or the enemy who fears it? Chosen one, you must hear this with all the weight of your spirit. The pressure you are carrying, the conflict that feels unbearable, the silence that echoes like abandonment. None of these are proof of failure. They are proof of purpose. Throughout Scripture, before every divine breakthrough came intense battle. Remember Joseph. He had dreams of greatness, yet before seeing them fulfilled, he was betrayed, sold, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. What looked like defeat was actually the final preparation for the throne. Remember David, anointed as king, yet hunted like a criminal, hiding in caves, living as a fugitive. Those caves weren't punishment. They were training grounds where he learned to lead, worship, and trust God when the crown was nowhere in sight. Remember Job, righteous and faithful, yet stripped of everything, mocked by friends, abandoned by comfort, surrounded by ashes. And yet in the end, God restored him with double, using his pain as a pillar of faith for generations. See the pattern? Joseph's prison, David's cave, Job's ashes. Each was a place of crushing before glory. Now look at your own life. The conflict, the silence, the pain, these are not signs of failure. They are the fires that refine, the storms that confirm you are carrying something the enemy wants to destroy. The enemy doesn't waste weapons on what is no future. He only targets what terrifies him. So if your trials are this fierce, this relentless, take it as confirmation. You have been chosen. This storm is not proof God has forgotten you. It is proof that your breakthrough is close. The darkest nights often come right before the dawn. The fiercest attacks strike when the enemy senses he is running out of time. And right now, that is exactly what's happening. The pressure is not the end. It is a sign that heaven's delivery is closer than ever. Think about this. If Joseph had given up in the prison, if David had surrendered in the cave, if Job had cursed God in the ashes, would their destinies have been fulfilled? No. And the same is true for you. The trial you are in is not the final chapter. It is the final test before breakthrough. Here is the secret the enemy doesn't want you to see. This trial is not destroying you. It is proving you, proving your love, proving your faith, proving your endurance. When the smoke clears, you will not only survive, you will rise with evidence that your purpose was worth the fight. So when the fire burns hottest, when the silence screams loudest, when the pain cuts deepest, dare to believe you are standing on the threshold of glory. Because if the battle is this fierce, what waits on the other side must be greater than you can imagine. But there's a danger greater than the storm outside you, and that is the danger quitting too early. So many promises die, not because God failed, but because his people gave up before his timing unfolded. Right now you are standing at that same crossroad. The temptation to walk away feels logical. It feels reasonable. But if you surrender too soon, you risk aborting the very promise God has been preparing in secret for you. Like a seed buried in the soil. You see nothing for weeks, and doubt whispers, maybe it's dead. But under the surface, roots are forming. Life is stirring. The unseen is working harder than the seen. If you dig it up too early, you kill the miracle that was moments from breaking through. This is what happens when you let frustration make you abandon what God is still building. Just because you don't see change. Just because you don't hear the words you long for. Just because things feel stuck does not mean heaven is silent. God is the master gardener. He strengthens the roots before he allows the fruit. If you leave now, you will never see what was about to rise out of your perseverance. Hear this clearly, chosen one. Progress in the kingdom rarely looks obvious at first. It often hides itself in silence, wrapped in stillness, disguised as delay. Silence does not mean absence. Delay does not mean denial. Confusion does not mean abandonment. Right now, you may be standing in the waiting room of your miracle, and impatience is whispering that the door is locked. But the truth is, the door is not locked. It simply has not opened yet. If you walk away now, you might leave one breath, one prayer, one sunrise before the breakthrough. Let this line echo through your spirit. One day after you quit could have been the day of your miracle. One more night of prayer. One more sunrise of faith. One more step forward when it hurts. That could be the very moment God chooses to shift everything. The enemy knows this. That is why his greatest weapon is not destruction. It is discouragement. If he can convince you to quit early, he will never need to fight you again. He wins without lifting a single hand. Think back on your past. Remember the times you almost gave up, when you thought it was over, and then suddenly something shifted. How many times did light break through the darkness just because you held on a little longer? Those moments were not coincidences. They were proof that God rewards endurance. They were reminders that the harvest only comes to those who refuse to dig up the seed. So take this as a divine warning. Do not walk away from what God is still constructing. The silence you hear is not emptiness. It is construction. The waiting you endure is not punishment. It is preparation. The pain you feel is not failure. It is evidence something is alive beneath the surface, pushing upward, about to break through. And the enemy is terrified of that breakthrough. That is why quitting seems so tempting right now. But you were not chosen to quit. You were chosen to endure. You were chosen to outlast the storm. You were chosen to wait through the silence until the ground splits open and fruit is revealed. Do not let impatience write the ending of a story God has not finished. Do not trade a lifetime of promise for a moment of relief. And here's a question you must carry like fire in your bones. If tomorrow was the day of your miracle, would you really want to throw it all away tonight? Now that you understand the weight of this connection and the reason this battle has been so fierce, it's time to learn how to fight. Because this is not about standing still hoping things magically change. Heaven is calling you into active warfare, but not with human weapons. The fight for what God gave you is spiritual, and only those who choose heaven's tools will see heaven's victory. Step 1. Prayer. Begin with intentional, consistent, targeted prayer. Not shallow, routine words, but prayer that grabs hold of heaven and refuses to let go until breakthrough comes. Every day, lift up this person before God. Call their name in your secret place. Ask the Lord to cover their mind, their heart, their steps. Instead of rehearsing problems in your mind, speak blessings over them. Declare life where the enemy whispers death. Declare clarity where confusion has been planted. Declare healing where wounds have lingered. Because when you shift from complaint to blessing, you stop feeding the enemy's lies and start partnering with heaven's power. Step 2. Guard your words. Resist the temptation to fight with your mouth. Arguments, accusations, and endless debates will never build what God ordained. Words are weapons, but if used in anger, they cut deeper than intended. The true battle is not won by shouting across the table. It is won on your knees, with quiet intercession that thunders in the spiritual realm. When you bend before God, you rise with authority no argument could ever achieve. The enemy does not tremble when you yell. He trembles when you pray. Step 3. Trust God's timing. You must learn to trust His timing even in silence. Silence is not absence. Silence is strategy. Think of a general in war. He does not reveal his next move until the precise moment. God is the same. He may not show you everything right now because He is orchestrating hidden changes. Healing wounds you cannot see. Shifting circumstances you cannot control. Softening hearts behind the scenes. If you demand answers too quickly, you risk stepping ahead of His perfect design. Patience is not weakness. It is warfare. Waiting with faith is one of the most powerful weapons you have because it declares that you trust heaven's clock more than your own. And here's a revelation that should ignite your spirit. You are not fighting alone. The battle may feel heavy, but the Lord Himself is fighting with you. He is not watching from a distance. He is engaged in this war. He fights for you. He fights with you. He fights ahead of you. The angels of heaven surround those who remain faithful. The presence of the Almighty is your shield. When you lift your voice in prayer, heaven responds. When you choose endurance instead of surrender, you align yourself with an army darkness cannot outnumber. So ask yourself with honesty, what kind of story do you want a life to tell? The story of surrender, the one who walked away when the fire got hot? Or the story of faith, the one who fought when it was hardest, stood when it was loneliest, believed when nothing made sense, and unlocked the impossible? Chosen one, the weapons are already in your hands. Every prayer you speak is a strike against the enemy. Every blessing you declare is a seed for restoration. Every moment of patience is an act of defiance against forces pushing you to quit. Every declaration of trust is a shout into heaven. I will not let go until I see what God has promised. Chosen one, when this battle ends and the dust settles, your life will tell a story. The question is, what kind of story will it be? Will it be the story of defeat, of someone who surrendered when the fire grew hot, who allowed discouragement to steal what heaven had given? Or will it be the story of faith, of someone who fought when it was hardest, stood firm when it was loneliest, believed when nothing made sense, and because of that faith unlocked the impossible? This choice belongs to you. Right now, it may feel like everything around you is screaming, let go. But hear me, your persistence is not in vain. Every tear you've cried has been a seed. Every prayer you've spoken has been a weapon. Every moment of endurance is building a harvest you cannot yet see. Restoration is coming. Healing is on its way. Purpose is unfolding. Even now, what feels like silence is not God's absence. It is His preparation. What looks like the edge of collapse is actually the edge of breakthrough. This is not the end of your story. It is simply a chapter, and the best pages have not been written yet. God honors the ones who stay faithful. He honors the hearts that refuse to bow to discouragement. He honors those who hold on even when everything around them urges them to let go. You must understand, heaven has not abandoned you. Heaven is preparing you. The weight you feel is not meant to crush you. It is meant to shape you. The battle is not here to end you. It is here to prove you. And when this season passes, you will rise with evidence that your purpose was always worth the fight. So here is your call to action. Do not renounce this connection. Do not let go of what God has joined. No voice of darkness, no earthly power, no scheme of hell can separate what heaven has woven together. Stand firm. The promise is still alive. The purpose is still real, and your story is not over. Now, I ask you to do something symbolic, a prophetic act of faith. Go to the comments and write these words with boldness. I will not quit. Write it like a decree. Write it like a declaration. Write it like a shout into the atmosphere. Because when you type those words, you are not just posting a comment. You are sealing your decision in heaven itself. This is your moment. This is your stand. The future is waiting. The enemy is trembling. And your testimony is being written right now. Do not quit. Do not surrender. Do not let go. Victory is yours. Let this echo through your spirit. You are not standing at a grave. You are standing at a doorway. You are not witnessing an ending. You are standing at the edge of a beginning. What looks like stillness is strategy. What feels like delay is design. What seems like silence is God building the stage for what comes next. Chosen one, you've come too far to give up now. This is not the moment to bow out. This is the moment to dig your heels in and declare, I was chosen for this and I will see it through. Because the truth is, you were never called to quit. You were called to endure, to stand through the fire, to keep walking until the dawn breaks. And when it does, when the light finally pierces the night, when the ground cracks open and the seed you protected begins to bloom, you will look back and understand every battle was worth it. Every tear had purpose. Every storm was shaping you for the promise. Chosen one, listen closely one last time. This is not your end. This is not the final chapter. This is only the proving ground before the promise unfolds. What you feel today is not a collapse. It is a transition. What looks like silence is not God ignoring you. It is God constructing something sacred behind the curtain. The enemy wants you to believe it's over. But heaven is whispering, hold on. This is just the middle. You must understand this truth deep in your spirit. Every delay is filled with design. Every silence hides preparation. Every hardship is shaping you for glory. What feels like waiting is not punishment. It is positioning. God is aligning pieces you cannot see yet. So do not let impatience write the ending. Do not walk away from a masterpiece just because you can't see the full painting yet. The author of your story has not finished the final page. Even now, heaven is moving. Even now, angels are fighting for you. Even now, God is breathing life into what looks lifeless. Your breakthrough has not been canceled. It is being scheduled. And when it arrives, it will come suddenly. The silence will break. The storm will stop. The seed will burst through the ground. And you will stand there, holding what you once only prayed for, knowing that it came because you refused to quit. So take this as your divine charge. Do not surrender. Do not let go. Do not stop believing. Cling to the promise like it is your lifeline. Stand in faith when nothing makes sense. Trust God when all you see is darkness, because what is coming will be worth every tear, every battle, every sleepless night. When the testimony is finally told, your story will not be of someone who gave up, but of a warrior who fought with heaven and saw the impossible bow to faith. And on that day, you will understand why the battle was so fierce, because the victory was always destined to be great. Now rise, chosen one. Wipe your tears. Steady your heart. Lift your voice and declare it over your life. I will not quit. I will not surrender. I will not let go. Say it as a decree. Say it as a banner over your future. Say it as a shout into the atmosphere. Because when you speak those words, you align your life with the throne of heaven, and all of heaven will fight beside you. This is your moment. The future is waiting. The enemy is trembling, and your testimony is being written right now. Victory is yours. Before you leave this space, pause and let this truth settle deep into your spirit. Your story is not over. What you are walking through is not the end. It is a turning point heaven has prepared for you. Every tear, every battle, every sleepless night has not been wasted. They are seeds, and the harvest is coming. If this message spoke to your heart, don't let it fade away. Hold on to it, protect it, Live it, because when you choose to endure, you partner with heaven and all of heaven moves on your behalf. I want you to do something bold as a declaration of faith. Comment the words, "I will not quit." Write it like a promise to your future. Let it echo through this space as a testimony that you will not surrender what God has placed in your hands. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel so you never miss the words heaven sends for his chosen ones. Like this video if it lit even a spark of hope in your heart, and share it with someone who needs to be reminded of their purpose. Your breakthrough is closer than you think.